meeting to order now. Silence your phones if you've got them. And remind me to get it back on. Thanks. Okay, this meeting's being recorded both on official, by official means, when you've got it, Tina, and also it's on Zoom and on YouTube. So let's stand for the pledge, and I would love it if Ruth would lead us. Thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ruth. Okay, roll call.
William R. Keenan, Chair.
Present.
Tommy T. Flower, Vice Chair.
Present.
Kevin G. Day, Commissioner.
Here.
Mike Smith, County Attorney.
You didn't get my middle initial.
Oh.
We got a quorum, thanks. All right, how about audience introductions? Who's this gentleman over here?
John Squire, Wetmore. Matt Clark, Westwood.
Wetmore Fire.
Are you catching them?
Wetmore.
Okay, and I think that's everybody. Thanks, and I think we've got a couple online, and if they speak, we'll bring them up and introduce them then. I know that Reggie couldn't be here. She's online. You there, Reggie?
Yes, sir. I'm here,
There she
bright-eyed
is.
and bushy-tailed.
Okay, and we can hear you too. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Okay, any amendments to the agenda, Tom?
No, sir.
Kevin?
No, sir.
Neither do I. Okay, approval of minutes. We've got three today. It's July 30, August 3, and August 4. And I appreciate we've got them all in time for this meeting. And they look pretty good to me, but I'll listen. Is there any issues, Kevin?
Don't believe so, sir. Move to approve the minutes, July 30, August 3rd, and August 4th as presented. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye. July 30, August 3, and August 4. All in favor say aye, Tom.
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Kanda, aye. All right, good. Commissioner items, we got a few. How about you, Kevin? What do you have?
Yes. First thing, after the dinner the other night, before I left the building, we kept hearing beeps. Found the AED down here was out of charge, and took the battery out of that AED, and we had another beep. One upstairs died at the same time. Go figure.
How long were they in service, you think? 2 years?
I could have gave you a date maybe, but
That doesn't matter, it's just
this was
interesting.
serviced in January 30th of 19. These particular AEDs do not match any of them in the rest of the county, so the spare batteries we have in West Cliff will not work. They are non-rechargeables. Ruth has been doing some checking on batteries. They're $250 a pop for the batteries. The pads are also expired. It's $50 for a set of pads. So for batteries and pads, we'd be looking at $600. So
Let's take it out of Clint's candy fund.
So I thought I would bring that to our attention because we probably need to address that pretty quick here. I don't know what your guys' pleasure would be if that's something that we would take care of, or what the situation might be on that, so.
That's a good question. They're this county building. And we need to keep that equipment up. It ought to be replaced, no question. Gotta figure out where we would pull it from. Maintenance fund, we got cash in it. Check and see. My first thought. Tom, you got any thoughts on that?
No, nothing to add. I don't have any choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you want them to order them from down here, or you want me to get, Vernon to
I think you ought to get,
put in an order or something that way?
Vernon or Public Health?
Or I guess it would be public health.
I would think. I don't know why IT
Okay,
would
that's
do it.
probably who bought them
yeah,
in the first
there's
place.
the fact that he's done the other.
You know who purchased these originally?
Elizabeth, to my knowledge.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's a good
Halton
idea.
is the one that's taking care of all the AEDs up there. The one that Vernon referred me to
Who is?
for Halton. Mike Halton?
Mike Halpin?
Yeah, he's taking care of all the AEDs, batteries evidently for the sheriff's department and EMS are working.
Well, then let's let, the health department work it through, if that's the right guy to go talk to.
Okay.
But,
I'll give Dr. Brown a call then or something, and, I'll get something lined up on that.
good.
Then the Ford van over there, while we're on public health, the title was apparently possibly in the front seat. All the paperwork that's in the van, Byron went over and checked for me, and he found a lot of stuff in regards to the lift and everything, but no title. So we're gonna have to try to run down that title. I don't know what happens with it. Maybe reach out to Ann to make sure they gave that over with the van. Maybe they were still holding it.
Good.
Did you check with Kelly?
Kelly has not seen it, to the best of my knowledge. She had not when I talked to her last.
I'm sure she has the time, maybe she was waiting on, we probably ought to talk to Ann first, but shoot, a lost title cost $250, but our $250 we get back to ourselves.
Yeah, so, maybe I'll touch base her unless, or if you wanted to touch base with her, either way.
I'll do it.
Okay. Also, Kids Club, I was able to make part of that meeting the other day. They're still, she required a little addition to her grant this year. I think an extra $5,000 that, she received on her grant this year. And, moving ahead with their, childcare at the church up there for the school.
Yeah, I saw that, that they'd added, they didn't increase it, what is it, 20,000 now, something like that, 15 plus 5, I think, I don't remember. It's good.
Yeah. And I had a question, as far as, in the past, for the mowers and stuff here, for,
Here, as in,
yes, for here, the community building grounds. They've been going to town for fuel for the mowers and stuff. I was gonna check and see if by chance they could pick that up over here at the shop when, the guys are around the shop, or just have them go ahead and continue to go to town for that.
why wouldn't be? A good idea.
It's safe.
Who's doing it?
Ruth is doing it right now.
Do they have a problem storing it here, or
No,
you got a 50-gallon tank?
Store it, it's just one more trip for me to town.
We don't have-
And the county pays for it because it comes out of our funds, but I gotta get in the vehicle and drive to town to get gas and things.
Why did we not do it in the first place, do you know?
I just never thought about it the other day, I was kinda tired, and it's like, oh, good grief, and I have to get in the truck and go to town and get gas.
I think
It would be greatly
They
appreciated.
have bulk tank up there?
here.
At the shop, yeah, we've got
Do they have a way of logging it and
big
track
Yeah,
it?
they log it in when I get gas to the firehouse.
Sure. Oh, you do? Well, why wouldn't you then?
So, yeah, we keep track, or they keep track of it over there at the,
I don't think
at
we
the
have to.
shop, and,
You agree, Tom?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
it would actually be
Trip.
5 gallons or 10 gallons a year. is
Oh,
the
yeah, it's not
amount.
much.
So it doesn't
It's a
really
little
amount.
mower.
Yeah, so, but that's all I have.
Okay, good. Tom?
I asked Dave, the maintenance person, to look at that roof up there, to see if we can patch it on the interim. I'm gonna wait until I hear back from him before I reach out to any roofing companies. I'm sure they're gonna want $300 or $400 to come up here and look at it. So, we'll see what Dave says. I do not have anything to report on the county administrator position. I talked or met the county administrator down in, Werfeno County. We didn't get into a big, long, drawn out discussion, but, I'll reach out to him as well. And then, as you gentlemen are aware, we did, get the executed grant, for the recycle program, so I talked to finance and said we could reissue that check for the down payment on the building and the overhead door. We need to reissue a new one because you can't cash a predated check or we'll be in trouble, so. And then also told them they could go ahead and, pay for the down payment on the baler that we've ordered, so.
So it's down payment on the baler and the door and,
And the building.
and the buildings. And the building. $97,000
$97,000 for the building and the baler, and $34,500
Yeah.
for the
Yeah, I did talk to,
baler.
Fort Ike, Chris, and happy that it came, 'cause he's ready to go.
Yeah, thank God we were able to intervene before he deposited that first check, or we'd have been out $97,000.
That's right, that would have been the wrong thing to do. I don't know what the issue was trying to get it transferred to, so that it would work when I signed it, but finally after the third try, it worked. I carried him along.
And then, my calendar on the 9th, I attended the Upper Ark Water Conservancy District meeting via Zoom. Very frustrated with those folks. And I told them via, an email, it certainly could have been me, but, everybody was complaining about the sorry quality of their audio, and they just do a terrible job. They got an attitude up there that if you're not at the meeting, we're not gonna worry too much about it. Four of their commissioners were on Zoom, and they kept squalling about, we just can't hear you, can't hear a word you're saying. And then they went through their proposed budget. I couldn't get it on my screen. I was on it for 2 hours and saw 4 slides out of probably 25. So I sent Skanga a broiling email and told him I thought it was a sorry-ass way to run a business, but, who knows. So, Skanga is proposing a 10% increase in salary for everybody in that Upper Ark, building. So, thank God, one of the commissioners had the guts to say, wait a minute, 10% increase? Of course, then Skanga went through his deal of how everything's more expensive, cost of living is expensive, which I don't discount that. We're facing the same problem. But I guess as long as we keep writing them that $55,000 a year check, they'll do whatever they want. So I'm gonna contact Bill and Mike Shields and tell them that as a commissioner, I do not believe that they should be voting for a 10% increase across the board down there.
Before you leave that, you already got something else on it.
Go ahead.
Do you think it, would be worth, I thought about this, maybe we ought to bring him up here and have status everything and brief county up here on what's going on since they passed the,
You'd be welcome to request it.
just from a water user's point of view.
I'd be real surprised if they would acquiesce, but.
I'm gonna see what they'll do for us, 'cause that,
and then, of course, attended the Wetmore Community Dinner. Thank you, Miss Ruth, did a great job as usual. If we have to eat raw carrots anymore, I'm not coming.
yeah, speak up, Tom. Got it.
You.
A little louder.
And then the 13th, attended the Broadband meeting in Walsenburg. I'm glad I went down. I just happened to have a conversation with Bogle, and he mentioned that they were going to meet and said I was more than welcome to go along. So, 2 of their commissioners were there. Erica Andrietta was their new commissioner, got to meet her. Met the mayors of Levita and Walsenburg and some town managers, and I thought those guys did a good job of their presentation. I think we're probably due to hear their updated presentation about the tri-county thing. That's what this was all about. Fremont, Werfeno, and Custer.
There be, all the group?
No, Economic Development, Vogel and Company, they have, they've updated that presentation, and I learned a couple things, and I thought, maybe we ought to invite them in and, have a little workshop or something, get an update on that whole broadband thing. I don't think Kevin has seen that presentation at all.
I have not.
So I think it'd be worthwhile, and I would request that we look at a date and see if we can't, schedule an hour, hour and a half worth. Probably an hour would be enough. We took an hour and a half down there, but there was, a question and answer period kind of ran on and so on and so forth.
That's a good idea. Before you leave that, you got more on that?
No, not really. I just, one of the comments from the mayor of, I think he was the mayor of Levita, that said it could have been the town manager, wanted to know why we wouldn't consider incorporating Los Animas County into this and make it a four-county thing. And my initial reaction was, well, geographically, these three counties are pretty well tied together, and what we're trying to do to get a redundant loop from Canyon City to Walsenburg, I just didn't think it would make a whole lot of sense. I didn't say anything about that, but and then had the opportunity to visit with Lola Bradley, the former Speaker of the House, and had a great visit with her. Hadn't seen her in quite a while. She is their chairman of their Economic Development Committee down there in Werfeno County, so she's very involved in that. And she thought it would make sense to run that fiber instead of going right down 69 South, is to cut off at Yellowstone Road, go down and hit Levita, and then go back to Walsenburg. Makes sense to me. It just would be more money. I mean, miles are money in that deal. So, but and those guys, Dale and Charles and Wilson, certainly didn't disagree with that possibility either. And they made it very clear, once that project gets to Werfeno County can decide what they want to do and where they want to do. We were basically asking them to consider joining this tri-county effort.
Sure.
And so I don't know, they have a whole nother issue down there, and that's getting over the top of Cuchera Pass and then down to Trinidad. And that's fine. Their county deals are their county deals.
Right.
Our county deals are our issues, and Fremont's. But that doesn't mean we can't all work together and collaborate, so.
Yeah, there's a common area there to bring that up through at least Werfeno County into us. That's two counties, and there's a reason why you can't tri-county.
Yeah, the general plan is to connect with fiber in Canyon City at the Pueblo Community College campus, and then go down. I don't know if they'll go as far as Cotopaxi or not, but at least Texas Creek, and then come south all the way to I-25. So, it was a good meeting. I think it was worthwhile attending that.
Good. Can I add something to it then? Fortunately, or maybe coincidentally, our fiber program guys, the Carmel and his group, working also with grants, part of that, are ready also to pull a meeting together. So we've got to connect the two dots here with that fiber piece. That's a great thing to have. And eventually with broadband, if it goes into that. So I think we ought to schedule up, if we want to have two separate meetings, we can do Dale first and then these guys, or we can have them all come together in the same room. Probably be a good thing. The fiber program we've got going is working that same loop up through here, down through the Hardscrabble, and then over to Texas Creek. So we need to make sure we're not wasting a lot of money and get them all coming together. Maybe we'll get it done a lot quicker. You said those grants are really, they're really turning, they're applying now. And I think they said that the deadline was like the end of November timeframe. So that's why they want to get together now and start putting the ore in the water. That'd be great.
Yeah, Carmel and Deal, they've kind of gone off the radar, so it would be good to.
Yeah, I've been talking with them
back
when we first came back, and they were waiting until they got an understanding of what the process is to get the grants, and they've been working that hard. good, you covered a couple of things, that I had already, so that's good. I also, worked, the AWAS thing is still coming around, we haven't turned it on yet, so I'm pushing on that still to make sure the FCC's following through. Had some complaints on, the length of our meetings and not wanting to waste people's times, because we get, too verbose sometimes. And sometimes we don't have all the information in front of us, so I was gonna propose with you all, maybe the process, we started it last week, we need any information we need for the meeting, to consider any of these things, we ought to have to Tina 2 days before the meeting, if we can do that, so we got time to review it, so we're not wasting time coming up to speed in the meeting when people are waiting in line to get on the agenda. Be the first thing, and I would propose if we don't get it, we won't discuss it. And I don't care what it is unless it's an emergency that, you can't do it at the next meeting, or that we can't call another meeting specially if that were a problem. The other one is, we will, get whoever brings the motion or the consideration to the board can introduce it, but I'm gonna not have a discussion on it, pros and cons. We need a motion if we studied it, whether it's worth considering further and voting on, then we need the motion and a second, and then we get into a discussion. And then I will be very careful, personally, as the chairman, to make sure that we're getting our thoughts in there, as well as any people that need to talk in a timely fashion. I hate doing that, 'cause I want everybody, as long as there's time to do it. But I lose track of the people standing in the hall, like and Shannon was the one that really had a long discussion with on the things he was trying to introduce to us. They are time consumed, urgent, because there's the door for the jail that needs to be ordered, and that takes a long time, and we're gonna hear about that today, I think. And then the vehicles, also, so let's try that. I'll try to respect people's time better, and also, it gets us down the road, and we can do other things that we need to do, like get into these other meetings instead of sitting here. Although I like the coffee cake, guys, so thanks. But we want to respect people. That's the big item I had, and I think that's it for now. All right, let's see if Clint can top that.
Since our last meeting, the only thing I did was prepare the proposed resolution 21-18 to formally approve the sale of those lots in Rural Valley, Golden Valley on that subdivision, and the deed of county to go along with that. It's on the agenda today. I'm going to announce it tomorrow. I'm taking off on a motorcycle trip, much deserved. I'll be gone for about a week, and so Bill, don't call me.
Well, if you get to where you can stop and listen.
I'm gonna be in remote areas where there's no service or anything.
Okay.
I'll check in the evening. So, anyway, I'm just letting everybody know that I'll kind of be out of action for a week. I'll definitely make it back in time to pick up my paycheck at the end of the
Well, we can count on that.
so, yeah.
Okay, before you, that reminded me when you brought up the maintenance issue. I am working on the RFP for the contract for the county buildings, and I want to try to get that out as soon as, so that we can get it approved and bids in and all that before we start the fiscal year next year. So that shouldn't take too much longer, and maybe I'll have it ready by the second meeting in next month. We'll shoot for that. All right, so Tina. Any other comments, anybody here?
I got a little strange with your AEDs there. Also, usually along with it, you buy a maintenance plan. That company, and if you're at a point now with batteries and pads, and they want to update, and County Health does have, they did have some. I called them and had additional information. You can either keep doing those.
And if we do that, the one at the firehouse is rechargeable. Now, those are $1,400 a piece. But you don't replace the batteries nearly as often as you have a rechargeable battery. That's a thought.
That's another thought, if you're gonna update, that's probably, upgrade, that's probably the right thing.
You have grant money down, a thought that you might wanna look into.
Okay.
Or go with the same AED as the rest of the county, so.
Okay, thanks. Any, online comments? All right, well, let's move on. Any unfinished business, Kevin?
No, sir.
Tom?
No, sir.
Neither do I. All right, new business. As I mentioned before, let's, introduce the consideration of, each item, and then we'll decide how we're handling it from there. Consideration of the Colonel Verde fire mitigation work, and that would be Matt Clark.
Thank you, sir.
All right, tell us what it's about.
Thanks for your time today, I appreciate it. I'm Matt Clark, and I live in Corona Verde. Retired 40-year fire incident manager, and all my experience is in the wildland urban interface. Even though when I started, there was no such thing. So I worked with state and fed and municipalities. I can't seem to keep a job anywhere, so. But I'm now retired, in fact, I was a paramedic in my past life also, so. I have some interest. But I'm here today, because I'm a volunteer and I represent 13 families in Westville. My property doesn't need to be mitigated. I did that a long time ago. But, I've kind of taken this on as a volunteer to help my community out and, take advantage of some of the field funding that's been available to us. So we developed a CWPP. Are you familiar with the CWPP? It's a community wildfire protection plan. And, we built that. It's designed behind science going back to 1996 from, Dr. Jack Cohen that outlines the home ignition zone. It is. And so each WPP has to have a home ignition zone. That's the best way to attack the wildland fires in the wildland urban interface. It doesn't matter to try and broadcast thin numerous acres, hundreds of acres to stop these fires. Instead, we focus on the house and do the work there. That's the most efficient way to do this. That's the data, that's part of the National Fire Plan, adopted in 2000. Focusing on the individual properties and not acreages is the method. So, let me give you a quick timeline. I came to you in January and requested the funding, and of course, there's been pandemic and short-term rentals and lots of other stuff going on. I know you guys have been busy, and I appreciate that. May 4th, you unanimously agreed to extend some of that funding to us in the amount up to $34,000 in Corona Verde. So that gets the ball rolling. You know, we have to educate our people, get the properties in line, property boundaries set, marked, lots of volunteer. I got over 50 volunteer hours just talking to the people out there and getting their properties finished out. We also brought in the State Forest Service. The State Forest Service is the subject matter expert in fuel mitigation. So we brought them in to do the marking of the trees on these properties. That way there's, you know, he's a subject matter expert. There's just no denying what, you know, he says this is what goes.
Who was that?
It was John Grieve, which I worked with and fought fires with back in the 70s. So, John Grieve at the Colorado State Forest Service, he's the district forester in Fremont County, but he also takes care of Custer County. So, anyway, May 4th, you granted us the funding, and then we put in the bid process, and we received 2 bids, and those bids were rejected. The same thing happened last year. We got funding last year. We got funding of $30,000 last year to do 10 homes, and we also got a bid that we didn't like. So we rejected the bid and requested for a new bid process, and was granted that. We went ahead and did those 10 properties last year for a price of $26,000 plus, and so we could round it up to 27 just for quick math. It was about $2,700 per property. We don't do acreages, we do properties. So the home ignition zone is only 200 feet away from the property. That's maximum allowed. 200 feet max, and we usually only go about 100, maybe to 140. So That price last year was about $2,700 per property. This year, we received 2 bids. One was outrageous. We threw it out. But one of them had a timeline on it that didn't match what the extension office put in there. But his price was well within line, so he offered $29,200, let's call it $30,000 for 13 properties. That came out to be only $2,300 per property. So that's a bargain. That really is, guys. That's a bargain. But his timeline didn't match what the extension service put in. I didn't put a timeline in my RFP. The extension office did for good grant practices. That's what it was for. So we didn't matter. We've been working on this for 9 months now. We didn't care if it happened in October or December. It doesn't matter to Corner Verde. And the funds had already been pressed and awarded, but because of it was basically an arbitrary timeline that was put in there for the paper. So the extension office has been great working with us and moving forward, but that was something that was kind of a misinformation.
So what are you asking to have us consider?
I've got solutions. That's all I can say. I've got solutions, guys. So, I can either request, and I've got a formal request here. We can either open up the bid process again, or we can go ahead and accept that bid with that guy's timeline. His price is good. His bid is still open.
You need to make a recommendation to us, Matt.
I'm sorry.
Do you have a recommendation of one or the other?
Actually,
We need to consider something.
Yeah, I really do. If we go with the bid process, that's going to be another month, putting us farther into the winter. My recommendation would be to accept Ace Tree Services bid and his timeline. Price was less than the average Safe Forest Service. I fought some of the biggest fires in the United States, guys, but standing out there talking to you makes me nervous.
It's okay. If Ruth won't mind.
We appreciate that. But, so, the price from the State Forest Service, we use all their data. That's all there is to it. And, their data is, the average cost is $2,500 to $3,000 per property.
So I remember the thing. What is the price?
The price that he offered was $29,000, $30,000, let's say, for all 13 properties, which would have totaled $2,300 per property. So truly a bargain. And but his timeline didn't match the one put in by the extension service. So he wanted to start November 15th and go to December 1st, 2 weeks. Finish in 2 weeks. So the disconnect with the extension office is they started the process during the bid process, and we shouldn't put that on a contractor when they start. We should put on the contractor from when they start. That's where we should put in a timeline. So, whenever they can start, I mean, we wouldn't ask a home builder to stop building a house to come build our house. He has to build that house first. And so these guys are out there in the field busy right now. So, my proposal is that we accept his bid and his timeline, even if it goes into December. Because it doesn't matter to us, it doesn't matter to Corner Verde, there's no consequences with the field funding that's already been awarded. And this Ace Tree Service with a good price, even throughout as I talked to him, I just asked him what was the expiration date on his bid. He said it'd go until the 20th of this month for that price. That would be my recommendation, is that we accept his bid.
Okay, so we can consider that. Is there a motion to accept that? And second so we can have some discussion on it and look at options?
I can give you his bid, each individual property, and there was some properties that was some concern. Tom's familiar with the project. There was some concern that some of the properties didn't have many trees on it, and he's right, because it's not a logging operation, guys. What we're doing is just kind of thinning the area out. And by questioning that, we're questioning the State Forest Service, the experts. They're the ones that marked it. And so it doesn't benefit us to question what's coming out of there.
Okay.
And even a home that only had several trees on it was priced accordingly. It's only $500 to do his property. But some of the other properties are up there. So it's priced right. We don't go off price per acre, and that's what I want to get across
everybody. We don't go off price per acre. The national fire plan is price per home site. That's how we go. This proposal is very reasonable at $2,300 per home site. That would be.
Okay.
So I'll submit that bid, resubmit that bid, and these are my solutions here, if you guys want those, so. There's 3 solutions that are my.
Thanks for, I understand. We need a motion to decide what we're gonna do here.
Okay.
Yeah, I disagree. I almost amended this agenda to change this from consideration to, discussion, which I think is appropriate here today. We have tasked the Extension Office and the Office of Emergency Management to deal with this.
Right.
I'm not opposed to asking them to reconsider, but I think that's where the recommendation needs to come from. If I may, sir, a couple comments. Yeah, Matt, thank you for that presentation. Thanks for coming down here. Appreciate that. I know you're a volunteer. So, and I do appreciate when in your presentation you finally got around to talking about the number of trees. That was one of our concerns. Price per property doesn't mean much to me. It sounds great in a presentation, but it doesn't do us any good as the financial agents for this county. It may not be reasonable to talk about price per tree, per property, but I think that's what, if we're gonna make an informed decision, that's what we need to do. I spoke to Matt this morning. Certainly, those homeowners have, decided they wanna lobby us to move forward with this, and that's fine, that's their right. But through all the emails I got, I couldn't help but get the sense that it almost came across like they had a God-given right, and it was our responsibility to fund this deal. That's not the case. Corner Verde is not the only subdivision in this county that we have to worry about. Obviously, you guys have done the best job, you're the most involved, I'm not discounting that. But the tenor of some of those emails was a little standoffish to me personally as a commissioner. I did not respond directly to those people and say, hey, wait a minute, there's no guarantees here. You don't have a right to this money more than anybody else in this county does. And so I was a little taken aback by that, but I know they're committed and they were willing to put their money on the line too. So I've tried to look at the big picture. I'm not just sorting that out and saying, hey, get off your high horse about this. We have other people to be concerned about as well. But we don't have anybody else that is in the same position as you folks are in Cuerna Verde, and I recognize that. So that's why I didn't respond and get all wound up about it, because you have done a good job out there and have put a ton of hours in. So I don't discount that. But I do think I would suggest that commissioners, we reconvene with OEM and Extension. When we last talked to them, they were gonna go back through that process again. Obviously, Cuerna Verde doesn't wanna wait for that. I understand that. I get that.
Okay, I haven't had any communication at all.
Okay.
Extension.
That's good.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So I got you.
If they wanna go through the next bid process, we're open.
Okay, we understand. Just let Kevin,
I would defer.
Okay, here's my thoughts too. There's no motion. We're not gonna consider this. But Tom is exactly right. We discussed this at length, and one of the proposals, and I don't know if you were there at that time, we don't have to spend all the money and pay for everything. There is timber to be sold, there is firewood to be sold, there is money to be made by the homeowners association in conjunction with clearing it properly, the way it should be, and taking some other approach, like one of the things we discussed was giving enough money to hire the right people to talk, to mark trees, or do whatever to help make sure you're doing the right thing. That was a thought. That doesn't mean that's what we're agreeing to do or not to do, but we were looking at better ways to rather than one big block sum now, and getting people thinking, well, the county's going to clear my land. We're always just going to sit here and we're going to wait. So that was a thought. So Tom is exactly right. If we can get back, work with the Extension Office and the OEM who was working it as part of the program, and come back to
Well, just to clarify, sir, there is no selling of the firewood or
Well, I mean, it could be.
Marketing or.
No, I know there's not, I know there's not. I understand that.
People, matter of fact, tell them to take the wood out of there.
I know when people pay to do that, to buy it, there's options, that's all I'm saying, I don't have an answer. But that was one of the thoughts to take a look at when we discussed it. Kevin, you got anything else to add? Because I agree with Tom, we need to have them work with you, see what's next.
Well, we do have Extension and OEM revisiting the process
Right.
already at the time of our last meeting. And so I think maybe we should touch base with them to see where they're at. There's nothing that says you can't reach out to them again as well. That would keep us all on the same page. It's not that we don't want to do that project, but we need to all be on the same page on it at the same time.
Absolutely, I've corresponded with the office through email, and I'm not getting any.
Everybody's been tied up.
To Extension,
Yeah.
yeah, and she, not to get off into the weeds, but she is out of the office for an indeterminate amount of time. I spoke with her yesterday. She's got some family health issues, single parent, so she's struggling right now. But if I may, sir, I'd like to ask you a question, Matt, and I feel like we have a relationship where I can ask you this, and you give me the honest answer, whether it's what I want to hear or not, doesn't matter. Do you think considering these projects on a price per tree is reasonable or not? Or does it matter?
Pricing it per tree, it hasn't been done that way because free market system has these contractors doing it, and it's not lucrative to them. I mean, they're already doing some of the most dangerous work right now. Commercial fishing and lumbering are the two most dangerous occupations. They have to pay the highest insurance rates for workman's comp. So they have to make it work, you know. They have to keep their equipment running and their guys engaged and pay the mortgage, you know. I mean, different. So to go price, I mean, I'd love to be able to go and get the lowest prices, but the Forest Service agrees. This is the average. It's $25,000 to $3,000 per property. We've been coming consistently below. Last year, we've only had one funding so far. Because you mentioned in one of your emails that you support this for 3 years financially. We've only had one funding last year, and that one came in at 27 per. And Forest Service, that's their data, and they're not doing the lumbering themselves. I don't know if it would be lucrative for free markets to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Adrian also has been out of pocket, he was in training, and so why don't you get a hold of him first, since we know, Guinevere's tied up. Also, I'm a former lumberjack and a lumberman too, sawmiller. So I understand the process, I understand the details of what you gotta do in the equipment. So don't discount us here, we're just, we had some concerns about how it was going, and we'll let them reconsider it, so. And that was a very good summary, Matt.
Yeah.
We appreciate you doing what you're doing.
That's the truth coming up to, you know, this is just the data, I use all the data from the Forest Service and our funds from last
Sure.
year and going into this year, so just the truth.
And if I may, real quick, I didn't pull up the email that I sent to you when I made reference that we have supported this since I've been a commissioner. Again, there's other projects besides Coronado Verde. We funded one in Silver Cliff Ranches, I don't know what that was, $30,000 or $40,000 for the big project. That was my reference. I kept getting this sense that those folks in Coronado Verde just didn't think we supported this at all, and that's not the case. And that's my
I saw
point.
3 of the emails, and I didn't get that sense, the entitlement at all. I thought maybe you received others, but I'm
Oh, I
sorry you
did.
got
That's
those,
okay.
because
Yeah.
that's,
Understood.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. I
Keep
appreciate
up the fight, we're not arguing, you know, just get the process nailed down and work it with them, and let's see what you come up with.
well, these guys work through the winter, that's what they have to do.
I know. I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
I understand.
Thanks,
it. Well, appreciate you coming down, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Appreciate that.
Okay, next up, we've got consideration of resolution 2118, sale of property to Michael
Thanks, Matt.
Foster, it's a deed of the county. And this is what you referred to, Clint?
Yeah, you voted on this.
Yep.
To approve this, acceptance of this, and this form, so this is just a formal document you need to sign to authorize you as the chairman to sign the deed of the county, conveying ownership of those lots. I was advised by Tina, the money's already been paid into, county treasury, so.
Already got the receipt here.
So a total for, looks like over $17,000 bucks.
$70,720.
Yeah. Man, I was close.
Certified
There it
funds.
is. There it is, 17,720.
And so do we need to change this deed, or this, the deed of the county to include both, husband and wife, or no?
No, the bid was just from Michael Foster, so I wanted to just, this to go to him. I've already prepared a quick claim deed, I think it's packet matter, and given it to Tina to give to Reggie, so they can turn right around and record that and put it in joint. And
They can record it however they want.
Yeah, and all we're doing is approving the,
She was not part of the bid
the rest.
process, so I didn't want the deed kind of be reflected as going to her as well.
okay, good.
I would move we approve the deed of county as presented by the attorney.
And the resolution.
And the resolution number 2118.
Did you hear Tom, or was? No, I didn't hear Tom. Okay, Tina didn't hear your motion.
Yes, he moved to approve, better say it again, can include the resolution, I guess.
Let me restate then. I would move that we authorize the signature of the deed of county and also resolution 2118, which I'm looking for right now.
I got it right here.
Entitled,
There it is.
conveying the county's interest in and to certain parcels of real estate located in Custer County.
Okay, got a second. Been moved and seconded to accept, the resolution 2118 conveying the county's interest to certain parcels of real estate property located in Custer County and signing the deed. Okay, any discussion, other discussion? Any other comments, public comment from anybody? Nothing online?
That was deposited in the general fund, correct? So Virginia will sort that out,
Certified funds
forward on those
maintained.
payments. Is there a record of who gets paid?
Pardon?
Is there a record of who gets part of this?
Yes, would you like to see it?
Yes, ma'am. You can just send it down, they can hand it down.
And it also states in the resolution that the
Go ahead and
treasurer,
look if you want. Sorry.
it states here that the county shall be, the deed shall be recorded with the Custer County clerk, and delivery of said deed made upon the receipt of the sum of $17,220, which we understand has, with the certified funds payable to the treasurer.
In the language, it's been approved by Kelly and, Virginia, that it covers what they need. Not 100% of that money goes, to the justice fund, does have to pay off some other amounts that need to be, which I guess.
On the-
town has now.
Yeah, which was my question,
The language at the bottom there was what Kelly said she needed, so I let her, what language she wanted.
On the resolution or on?
On the resolution, because I initially said the net proceeds from the sale would go into the criminal justice center fund. They made some slight changes to that currently has, she needs it.
And it refers to the lots.
it appears that roughly 13 or 14,000 of this will go to the other, special districts. So the county may realize $3,000 or $4,000. I didn't add them up, I didn't calculate them, I just roughly added them up. I guess my question would be then, are we still in the, mindset that whatever the county does realize off of this would go into the, Justice Center line item to help pay for the lease purchase surface on the ground. That's what we've historically done since we created that with land sales. Are we still good with that?
I'm good with it.
Yes.
And then just, Mr. Attorney, in the last line of deed of county, I think it should say county in and to the following described property situated with a D.
Actually, situated is a legal term,
Wow.
not situated.
Yeah, well, I don't agree.
Well,
I don't care if it's legal.
Don't care about the law.
Sounds weird.
this guy's talking about situated,
Wow,
not situated,
that's crazy.
so that's.
Okay, so common sense doesn't have anything to do with it.
Company run out of law school for a couple of years, and, it's situated.
Alright.
I've been a lawyer for 50 years now.
So that doesn't change the fact that I don't agree. I think it should have a D on it. That's all I'm saying.
Tina? Yes. I think we're done. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving resolution number 2118 as stated and presented and signing the deed for the said properties, say aye.
Aye.
Tom? Kevin?
Aye.
And aye. Okay, we're done. And I will, sign this and pass it on. Shannon, I thought you were gone. They can't commissioners any when you can.
Okay.
I know what you're thinking, but times have changed. No, there you go. Okay, well, he's signing that. The next item up is, exactly what, Shannon's here for, so you're right on the money. This is, consideration of the sheriff's vehicles. We put that in just so you had some options here, Shannon. And, then your security upgrades is a second, subject after that. So after you swallow and have a cup of coffee, we'll just sit back and we'll wait for you.
No, go ahead.
No, you
You want me to talk?
yeah, you're up.
So I hadn't seen the agenda, so I didn't really.
I don't know why, 'cause you came in at it. Perfect timing.
So, you got the email that I sent to you, all of you about the vehicles? Unless you want me to reiterate all.
Well, for the record, you need to state what you're asking for and why. It's simple summary, it's not a big deal.
Well, okay. So I'll bring you up to speed then. How's that sound?
That's good.
As I stated in, email, so, in the last week or so, we lost two, vehicles, all offline, both for transmission issues. We're preparing to possibly one vehicle, that has, 230,000 miles on it. That vehicle may not be in line after all, that we might be able to resurrect it without spending a tremendous amount of money, but I haven't had that confirmed to me, but that's just kind of thinking from, the shops, but, nevertheless, so right now I have, 13 vehicles and 13, people driving them. That includes myself. So we're as thin as we can be with vehicles. Now, the vehicle that we ordered in March, the new patrol vehicle that we ordered in March, due to circumstances beyond any of our control, to say I understand it, would be alive, but there's no manufacturing date on that because of the infamous chip, issue that's going on, with Ford, I guess, in particular. So they, we don't know when that vehicle is going to be manufactured. We don't know when was made a delivery date on that. So we just, I would be shocked if we get it this year at this point. We don't vehicle coming this year, at least since the next year. And I also alluded, you know, we're 25 to 30,000 miles a year on a patrol vehicle. We're on a replacement schedule of one a year, and we're talking 15 vehicles, right? That's what we're have. That's one vehicle every 15 years. That's 25,000 miles. A lot of miles on a vehicle. So I think that there has to be some preparation that we're gonna have to have a better rotation than just once a year. Now, I'm not trying to say that we need to do vehicles every year, but maybe one vehicle for 2 years, and then you do 2 years, you do things like that, because you're upgrading more than. The plan was for 2022, order, we're going to change from the Dodge Durangos because they're not holding up like we had hoped that they would. Everybody's seen them. The Durangos have a lower clearance rate than, you know, a pickup does. And the reality is that jackrabbits, tear up Durangos. We've had 3 incidents where deputies hit a jackrabbit and caused $1,800 plus damage on each occasion.
I've hit a jackrabbit, and I know exactly that.
Well, I mean,
Rabbits
they're
are
big up the hill there.
Well, these jackrabbits are this big.
Yeah, you're talking 22-pound jackrabbits here, I think.
It's like throwing a cannonball at it.
So, you know, without going, so, we looked at some different platforms. The reality is that the pickups, while we like the pickups, it's impossible with all the gear that deputies have to carry nowadays. It's impossible to keep gear clean in the truck because, you know, so much of it has to be bed and it doesn't matter how much money you spend on a really good box to go in the back of the bed of the truck, it still ends up dirty. And so, the SUVs are the best option. We are still doing the trucks, you know, we're gonna.
So what are you proposing now then, Shannon? You're proposing changing to a different brand?
I'm proposing that we change it to Tahoes, that's the plan, but, so we reached out because, you know, the budget coming up to see what the cost on Tahoes would be, and, the only Chevy dealership in Colorado that has the state bid, which means that you get it at a discounted rate, the same rate that the state gets for their vehicles they buy. They said Chevy typically has a 3-month purchase period for special purpose vehicles, which is where the police package is. This year they had 8 days, and Chevy didn't even notify the dealerships until the day before they were stopping to take orders that they were only doing it for 8 days. So that dealership ordered 20 extra Tahoes for the year, and when we talked to them last week, they had 2 left. They had sold 20 more than they had already ordered in that time period. So we were on a deadline for the vehicles. So we crunched the numbers. I'm just giving you an update. We crunched the numbers. You know, I sent you that email out asking, hey, you know, what are some options? Can we look at 2 vehicles for next year? Cost, I don't remember off the top of my head now because I've had a lot of numbers in my head going over the budget, but they're about $115,000 or $109,000
For two
vehicles. You know, we were talking about $54,000 per vehicle.
Okay, got a quick, just stop you there for a second.
Right.
You have a new vehicle already coming. We don't know when.
Don't know when.
And you have one that may still be able to be used for a while. So why do we need 2 more? Do we not just need 1 more and wait for the other one to come in? That'll get you your 2 back. I just want to be clear what you're asking for. Are you asking for 2 or 1?
We're asking for 2, and the reason we're asking for 2 is because the vehicle we might be getting back has 230,000
I get that.
miles on it. We have other vehicles that are over 200,000 miles on it. There was a point in time where a vehicle that has that kind of mileage, and I've had this discussion before, that it's not really responsible to put that high mileage. Now, I know, you know, to the general public, people are going, well, hey, look, you know what, my vehicle has 160,000 miles on it, it's still running fine and doing well. So you're gonna run that vehicle up to 105 miles an hour responding to a domestic or to fill in the blank. Not uncommon for those vehicles to be running 90 plus miles an hour with your vehicle and your life and your grandkids in your car. Well, not your grandkids in a patrol vehicle, but one of my family members, because one of my deputies is running that.
So, okay, got it. I just wanna
So
keep.
higher mileage vehicles,
Yeah.
we just have to come up with a better
Okay,
rotation.
I'm keeping it focused here. Yeah, we got the budget process coming up, so we need to figure out what we're gonna do. So, right now, for this discussion, are you proposing we make a decision, yes or no, or that we're gonna wait and we're just listening to you?
So I'm gonna give you the update.
We're listening, okay, now let's
I
hear it.
already ordered the vehicles.
Okay.
So I took my budget for this year, and we punched 3 more holes in the belt, and we cinched it down, and we're not gonna spend some money, we're gonna save enough money in this year's budget on buying those 2 vehicles. I couldn't wait. So I'm not asking for it. I'm not trying to sound crass, but we believe we have enough salary savings in this year's budget that I'm gonna be able to pay for those 2 vehicles. So I went ahead and ordered both of them because I knew if I waited, I probably wouldn't be able to order vehicles in 2022. And we would really be up against the wall if we weren't able to get another vehicle.
Okay, so you're just bringing us up to speed.
So I'm bringing you up to speed. That's all materialized since I corresponded with you gentlemen before, so.
Okay.
Not trying to sound like I went out obligated to count.
No.
I don't believe that
You had the money, you found it, you're,
that.
okay, gotcha.
So I think
That's
that problem is kind of resolved. You know,
That's
or
good.
well into the creek over, as long as I don't have another catastrophe with another vehicle, we should be.
Or keep all the jackrabbits locked up.
Or elk and deer.
Yeah, that's true, that's what, Tom's got a question.
It's more of a comment. I appreciate what you're saying, Shannon. I would have appreciated you letting us know that you had tightened up your own budget belt when you ordered these vehicles. Based on your email, it looked like you ordered these vehicles and expected us to pay for them anyway, out of budget. Well, that's not gonna happen because we don't have the money.
No, and I would have done it.
Yeah, that came across.
I wish you'd have just said, hey, I managed my budget and I ordered these 2 new vehicles within my budget. You'd have saved me some sleep.
Sorry,
Cause
and I apologize for that.
yeah, I thought we were.
I was out of the office too,
Yeah.
I mean, it's that time of year and.
Yeah, I thought
My
today,
apologies for leaving you hanging.
yeah, I thought we'd end up in a headbutting contest because I thought if you ordered vehicles and didn't have the money to pay for them, see where I'm headed with that. So I'm glad to hear that you did that.
But we had a really good meeting with Reagan on Friday. All the new CIC finance stuff's coming into line, and we're all figuring out we were able to go in and diagnose and
Figure out exactly where you stand.
Reagan said, hey, listen, I need you to verify that these numbers are correct, because from what we're looking at, he's like, they're absolutely correct. I'm like, okay, double check.
Yeah.
And once he said, yes, we're good.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't have an issue with that. So you still anticipate in 2022 budget request for how many vehicles? Next month when we go through the budget.
At least one, it sounds like.
I would like to say 1, but if we get to effectively, I mean, if we ever get manufactured, we could ultimately get 3 in the next 6 months, we'll say.
Right, but one of those has already been budgeted for.
Yeah, it's already,
I'm just asking for 2022.
So, well, I'm thinking, the way money is and all that, maybe we don't get an additional 120, because I don't know that I'd be able to order one anyway.
Right.
I won't be able to order a Tahoe, so then we'll have to be a pickup.
Don't play your hand yet, the budget's coming up.
So, would it be acceptable if I punt that?
Sure.
You can bring anything to us you want, it just, nice to have a heads up.
I mean, I might ask for 1, at least just to get for the budget preps, but then in those talks that we can.
Well, you're making a case to scatter them through the year so that you're always having a refresh a vehicle at the right time, and that's a good thing, because people like are guilty, you get by with what you got, and you keep putting new bearings in it, and new tires, and pretty soon you don't have a car.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Kevin.
The vehicle you've got ordered that's waiting on a chip,
Yeah.
is that paid for? Or did you pay for it when you ordered it, or is?
No, it's in the budget, so that's that USDA grant where they pay for 80% of the vehicle.
Okay.
That was part of that grant, and so it hasn't been paid for yet, but it was budgeted.
The money's earmarked.
Money's there, and it's earmarked, and it's in the grant, and
Yeah.
we paid 10% or 20%, whatever.
Yeah, 20, I think. But what's nice is that, it's paid for and then there's no lease, just like these vehicles that I ordered, Monday or Friday or whatever, they'll be paid for, so we won't have an ongoing, payment on those over the next.
That's gonna be good. That'll help a bunch.
I've talked to Mike about this, and I've talked to Shannon about this, and that's the vehicle sitting down the road and bridge that's totally equipped, just doesn't have a transmission in it. I've asked them both about their thoughts about the county spending $3,000 getting a new transmission put in that. I guess I would bring this up again, all kinds of caveats, but does it make any sense for us to put a transmission in that vehicle for the court security officer?
Which one was that?
I think it was a 2004 or 5.
It's an 04 Dodge Durango, it has 198,000 miles on it, I believe. They shots are, got an estimate from Aztec Transmission out of Canyon, which is Jim O'Bird. The shots recommended to go to, and right at $3,000 to put a rebuild transmission in that. So Mike, up in court security, that was his vehicle. He's now driving the 06 Durango, so it's basically the same vehicle.
Unmarked.
It's unmarked.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
But it has 190,000 miles on it as well. I just didn't think it was money-wise to spend $3,000 on a vehicle that's that old. I would say this, if the county wanted to put a new transmission in it, we could probably turn around and sell it for $3,000 or $4,000, but I'd make a lot, it's hard to make any
Probably
money
more
out
than
of it.
that.
I'm sorry?
Probably more than that. It's an 04 or 6.
It's just got 200,000 miles on it, so I don't know.
I think it'd go.
I'm not in the, vehicle resale business there, but that is a, something that I think, in my opinion, the county has been pretty good at is, with the vehicle, get it ready and get it sold while it's still in good serviceable condition, and make a little bit of money back that could then be invested back into other vehicles.
Sure.
And
Good thought.
down on that.
Yeah, and the problem is, we let these vehicles run till that 200,000 mark, and they're not worth anything. And then, so that's where I'm at. You dump another 3,000 or 4,000 into transmission, it doesn't change the high mileage. It's still not gonna be worth much.
But what's frustrating, so unit 2, I just want to be upfront, so that vehicle's scheduled to rotate out when we got the new truck that's on order. But 2 months ago, we took
Should've
that
been
thing
gone.
offline and we sell it, we probably could've sold it for $6,000.
Don't mind me.
And now the transmission's shot, or at least there's something wrong with it. If we would rotate those out, we could, I think.
Was Byron looking at that one to see if that transmission really, that's the one that he's talking about?
They wouldn't do the work.
So why don't we, why don't we, when he determines what it is, bring it back and let's figure out if we're gonna sell it or throw it away. Okay, you're up on the door now.
Yeah, so I would just, so our jail budget is, we're not over budget, but, it's just, we're walking a line there, and, as I sent you the price quote on, so, for anybody that didn't know, so for the second time in less than 3 months, the holding cell door was booted in by one of the folks that we arrested. And were able to help us. They came in, welded in a steel frame, and built a bolt mechanism. Well, the reality is it's a solid core wood door, though. It's not a steel.
The bolts held up, the frame did, but the door didn't.
That room was never designed to be a holding cell because the jail never had a holding cell.
Right.
So we converted it. Second time, they booted it in. Well, we got upgraded to a more secure door so that the next time some old boy puts his leg and foot into it, he's the one that gets the shock, not the door. So, about $800, order that and the shipping, and then of course we're gonna have somebody install it.
Steel door.
I'm asking if we get any money anywhere.
Yeah, the steel door.
door.
Steel door, right?
Yeah, it's a steel security door. I sent you the link.
Yeah.
There it is.
It has, several bolts. I think there's 4 or 5 bolts in it. It's designed for security.
Well, that looks like a nice door.
$100, it better be.
So looking with install, probably $1,000.
Yeah, about $50.
But a new front door on a house, $2,500, so.
Yeah,
It really is.
This is kind of scratchy.
Everything's
This is a
relative,
plain
yeah.
Steel door with a heavy-duty lock.
We're gonna be paying for people's hospital bills on their broken legs as they kick it in.
Well, they have to do that, that's self-inflicted.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and I realize you're looking for help with the door.
Yeah, just,
But my first response is, when I saw this and everything, and when you let us know about it, was, okay, you need the door, get the door. But I realize you're looking for help outside of your
I just
budget.
wanted to talk to you
Yeah.
guys before, I mean, look, if they,
Have you ordered a door?
Use them for bid, I mean, it's not, every person can be arrested, it's not like that,
Yeah.
but.
So you're getting by with the broken door right now?
Yeah, we're able to patch it up and fix it so that,
So you haven't ordered a steel door yet?
I'm sorry.
You have not ordered this door
I
yet?
have not. I just wanted to talk to you guys first and see, I know, again, we're getting to the end of the year, budgets are tight. I mean, even if you could help out with $500, and we'll pull $500 from our budget somewhere to do it.
Well, you know, the end of the year also, some places we don't have the money being spent yet, so it might be a good time for you to keep it engaged.
Right. Look, I mean, I can take it out of my budget, all that, as long as you guys will just keep in the back of your mind, listen, if we get to the middle of December now, and I'm short a few $100, that you guys would be like, okay, yeah, we can move something.
Well, we're notorious for spending money without knowing where it's coming from, but I'd suggest we look into our building and maintenance budget, see where we're at there.
Yeah.
If not, capital improvement.
Yeah.
And I agree, I mean, can't just keep sticking our head in the sand about these kind of issues, hoping something's gonna happen in November. We gotta deal with this.
Right.
So
So I think that's a good idea.
I would support him going ahead and getting the door ordered and getting it installed, and we'll cover it either through capital improvement or buildings and maintenance.
If he runs out of money.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll buy it out of my budget, as long as we just all keep in mind that
Yeah.
I might need a little help, you know.
Tina, keep it in, flag that so that we don't, you know, that's an obligation that we may have.
Well, my recommendation is we just pay for it out of capital improvement or building and maintenance, one of the two.
Not take it out as budget
Correct.
now.
Yes.
Probably ought to look.
Is that a motion?
I would, convert that to a motion, yes.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to buy a new door, and I guess not to exceed $1,000 or $1,200, what is it? 1,800, is that?
No, it's not.
$800 for the door and about $1,000 for install.
No, I would say it wouldn't cost
Not
a couple
Let's
$100
not worry about the
for
install.
somebody to install it. So, I would say $1,000 overall.
Pay for $1,000.
Just the rest of better class person.
Yeah.
Well, we've been trying.
Start with Clint. Give it a try, Clint.
First of all, you'd have to have better class citizens.
All right, been moved and seconded to, approve a expenditure out of the capital improvement fund of $1,000 for the sheriff's new door.
Well, technically, that was not my motion.
Well,
If
technically, you
wanna
said
amend
it's like, or capital improvement, but we can't do an either or. Which one do you use?
Whichever is available. I didn't put a dollar figure in my motion, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, well, I think we
If
should,
you wanna amend it, then let's move on.
I think we should amend it. If he's willing to do it for $1,000.
What's the amended motion?
To allow for, expenditure up to $1,000 out of, capital improvement.
But if it runs to 11 or 12, we'd be willing to pay for that, right? So,
Well,
why put a dollar amount in there?
I think he can cover it.
Yeah, if you give me 1,000, then I'll cover whatever, if it goes over that. If that's acceptable to you,
Fine with me. Second. Tom,
Did you amend that?
amend it?
Are you calling for the vote on the amendment?
Not yet. Do we have a second on?
I was asking, did you put that as an amendment?
I did not. I made the motion to pay for this door out of capital improvement or buildings and maintenance, period.
So we need to amend that. Well, I moved to amend that motion to include the dollar amount of $1,000 out of, I don't care whether it's capital improvement or building fund.
Second.
Okay. Well, let's vote on the amendment. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And aye. So you got the price down there now in the motion. You wanna read it?
Allow expenditure of up to $1,000 to buy and install steel door from capital improvement or building maintenance.
Okay. So we'll vote on the amended motion. That would be to allow for the sheriff to buy a door for $1,000, replace the door for $1,000. Okay, improvement or capital funds. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And aye. Okay, you got any other requests? Did you bag a bull, or what did you do?
I would assume we can get a local contractor to do the install.
yeah, that's about it.
Does the door come with a steel frame?
Got to replace the frame and the door. That door comes with a
And I
frame.
mean, it's a little bit more tricky, because it's on the concrete block there, so you know, they'll let it.
Have to anchor it, but it does come with a frame. They don't have to build the
Would
frame.
have to, given that, it's got to be a steel with a lot of holes in it. Bigger lots. All right, thank you, Shannon. Okay, we only have one other item, and that's consideration of a letter of support that, tourism brought into us last meeting. Who's bringing that in?
Actually,
Debbie Adams?
yeah, Adams brought that in, and I typed the letter up, and you had, your board packet.
Okay, and we did consider it when she was in there, and we asked her to do that. I saw the letter, you see it? Kevin? All right, so we have a letter from the tourism board that, asking for our support to, support the tourism efforts, and I'm gonna read part of it. So on behalf of the Custer County Tourism Board, the Custer County Board of Commissioners is proud to submit this letter of support for Colorado stargazing and its application for the Colorado Tourism Office's marketing match grant. That's what it's all about. The body of the letter gives some history, and it ends as a rural community that relies on the nature of tourism as an asset. Few attractions are better than our dark sky. This year, as we focus more strongly on leave no trace care for the Colorado messaging, we are excited at the prospect in better educating the visitors on how to respect the land and the people of the county and our culture. Thank you for considering Colorado stargazing. Experience tonight. Signed by the three commissioners. Any discussion on this, or a motion, I guess we ought to have first. I move we approve this letter of support. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the letter for the CTO marketing grant application. Tourism Board. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I did talk with, Deb Adams via email. I did not talk to her, well, I did talk to her personally eventually, but my initial concern was, the whole stargazing thing. I point blank asked her, is this Colorado Stargazing a group, or is that a marketing effort? And two subsequent emails, she never answered that question, so we finally spoke on the phone. I said, look, I just need to know, is this a program within tourism, or is this another group? She finally said, no, this was a marketing program. An expounded version of what we funded 2 years ago. This is now 7 or 8 counties going together and doing this marketing thing. She told us at the last meeting that we did not have to match this. It was just an application to CTO office. So I don't have a problem with that.
Good point. I'll read that paragraph. It's, however, Custer County's Tourism Board's marketing funds are extremely limited, and thus collaborating with other communities to create the Market Colorado Stargazing has been instrumental in much of our success.
And that was my question, in regards to that, Tom, is, I thought I saw somewhere where this was a 75% grant, but,
She told us no, but I don't, I'm just going off of what she told us in our last
and I'm
meeting.
not finding that now,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna assume it's a fully funded grant.
Yeah, and that would be their obligation within their funds.
Yeah, and when this first came to the commissioner's office through Tina, she asked if this was something we need to consider, and I said, I believe it is, because I think we have to be careful about jumping on these requests for grants without knowing whether or not we're gonna be fiscally responsible for some matching or whatever. Before, we were just the fiscal agent for this. They chose Custer County to serve, that grant on behalf of those other 4 or 5 counties. I don't know what the situation is here, but I don't have any heartburn with this.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the CTO marketing grant application from the Tourism Board as a sponsor for it. And sign the letter. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
I'll vote aye and make the assumption that this is going on BOCC letterhead.
Already is.
Okay.
Ken?
Aye.
Kanda, aye. Great. You, sir. There you go. Okay. Yeah, and I sent it down that way. It wasn't the deed, it was the resolution. The deed is not there. When it's available, is it, oh, here it is, I'm sorry. It is here.
While you're doing that, if I may, sir.
Go ahead.
We still have not had any forward progress on installing the sprayer at the sink. I think maybe we ought to look elsewhere for a plumber to do that. You haven't heard anything from? You're right. Yeah. So,
Somebody,
I requested a plumbing company 3 times, and all 3 times have been told, yeah, we'll go down and take care of it. Well, that hadn't happened yet, so, I don't think it'll be a big project, but I think we'll just move forward in a different direction.
gonna ask to do it, he's retired,
Okay.
we, probably leaving guys.
Wouldn't hurt.
You know, the only,
He always did things for the building, and because we can't get anybody to, he's gonna ask him if he still do it. It's not like he has to crawl under anything and have to get on his knees and.
well, yeah, see, there's some additional concerns that Day and I have talked about. We have a leak under there. We need to address that while we're doing this. We need to probably raise that sink up. We need to do that before we fix the plumbing and before we install the sprayer. So, installing the sprayer is not a big deal if you have the equipment to drill through a stainless steel surface. I do not.
He still has all of that.
So,
So if he's,
In regards,
willing to do it,
I'm fine with that. Most likely, that plumbing is going to occur above the leak. So if we do raise the sink up, it'll go with it. I don't think it'll be a big issue.
the leak is in the drain system.
Right.
Flow right tried 3 times and couldn't make it flow right, so, the legs, there is a possibility that some of that top rail pipe that they have over here at the shop here, the county shop, will work to extend those legs.
Yeah.
That's what we use at the sheriff's office, because we have the same,
Right.
we got the top pipe from Home Depot and cut them off however far we wanted and raised our sink up.
Yeah, I've got many feet of top rail. So if they don't have, not a big deal.
We cleared out the state shop in Penrose some years back.
But I think if we put the sprayer in, we're not gonna have to replumb the sprayer. It'll go up with the sink.
Right,
And
yes.
all the
All comes
drain
together.
plumbing issues below that.
Yes.
So I'd say if you have somebody you could lean on, lean ahead, as far as I'm concerned. But if not, then let's
we'll let you know if
Let's
it's
get
not
it.
building.
different plumber.
You looked at it yet?
Pardon?
Does he know?
I
He's seen
don't know
the
if his
job?
wife has informed him yet that she's, we'll leave that one alone.
All right, we'll move on. This has, been good. We're at 10:30 now. Wanna look at any additional items of business, anybody?
Can we talk for a minute about, sorry, you want to?
We got some public
Can we
comment.
talk for a minute about fire restrictions? So, I've been leaned on a bit by the fire department up in Wet Mountain about, thinking about the fire restrictions. Had a small little fire over on, Gobbler's Knob yesterday, not big at all, but it was one. It is pretty dry. I mean, we got 3 10 minutes of rain in my house yesterday, but I know that wasn't, across the entire county.
Yeah, we got quite a bit. You didn't get anything down here, did you? The road was dry.
90 degrees, right? So, I know I'm the one that makes the call on that, but I thought I'd garner your input or thoughts. I hate doing it right at hunting season, because then we're gonna have a lot of smoke chasing calls, because hunters use fire, and by law, if they're using it as a warming fire, they can. So, Forest Service isn't in, restrictions.
Right, and, the other, there, like you said, it's different. It's drier here than it's really wet on the other side, so how do you, if you break it up into, can't break it up, that's.
What phase would you consider?
One. I would go 1, yeah. Recreation type fires, just, the fire department's gotten quite a few calls, according to them, last week about, burn permits. People are getting ready for winter, so they're wanting to burn some slacks and stuff like that, which is where we probably really get bit in the tail is last pile, so.
Yeah, I think, well, depending on it, looked like in forecast wise, it looks like it may be.
Hot and dry, at least through the next week, it's,
Keep your eye on
I
it.
think the highest chance is like 5%.
And then you'd be willing to look at it as, if it does rain enough, to make sure people can do their thing, and you'll just really, I don't have a problem doing that.
Yeah, anything, as soon as we can come out, we would. Essentially with level 1, restrictions, stage 1, I'm sorry. You're gonna eliminate the slash piles, is where you're really gonna recreation fires.
defer to you from this seat. I agree, I mean, there's a lot of people in the woods right now, but most of those are gonna be on that forest, I would guess.
I got a couple of slash piles I need to get burned.
Yeah, me too.
Good, wait.
But I don't do it till.
Yeah, let's wait till Shannon gets it.
So we have snow on the
Right,
Yeah.
right, for burning 5,000 acres.
You know, I have an open burn permit right now.
I
and
do too.
It's not just, you wake up in the morning and go, oh, I'm gonna go burn my slash pile. You gotta contact all your neighbors, you gotta, you know, a little more complex, not that it can't be done, but
Right.
I'll support whatever you decide.
I think I probably would too. I was really hoping to make the year without having one.
I know, it was so good.
Looking pretty good for a while.
So darn dry lately, it's, so, I mean, I reluctantly considering it, I've been putting the fire department off for a week. Chris is, called me right as I pulled in out here again, but, you know, probably just calls.
You didn't call me?
You know,
All right.
I think you could probably take most of them in a fair fight, so.
All right. Okay,
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up.
Your call.
Okay, thanks.
all right, that did get us into public comment, so thank you, Shannon. You don't have any other items?
No, that was the only one I had.
All right,
I think this one over here.
go ahead.
Nice man over here in his department, we're gonna cook us supper on the 29th, which is a Wednesday, and I think
Us who?
officials, all of Wetmore. So I think officials should show their faces down here and hobnob with the public. We'll be
Hobnob, it's hobnob, not snob.
Oh, pardon me. I know. I'm trying to be nice. It's 29th, it's a Wednesday, but the sheriff's department's gonna cook us. There were some hot dogs and big beans.
Outside or in here?
Did I hear
Whether
broad?
you can be.
Yeah,
Huh? What time?
maybe in here, maybe outside, we'll see.
We'll
how
see
bad the
whether-
wind's blowing.
29th, what time?
We
What
have
time,
the fire.
4:30 to 7.
Did I hear,
6 feet of snow in Lubbock.
did I hear somebody say we were having brats? Or did I just
Don't
hear
think that's what
or did I
the
just hear
brats
hot dogs? You gotta bring your own brat?
You gotta bring your own.
You bring a brat, we'll cook it. And there might be a couple brats out there for those that.
No guarantee who will eat it once it's cooked, right?
Right.
Just because
You
you
might
bring
have to
it.
arm wrestle over it, but.
Yeah, just because
So
you
who
bring
you
it doesn't
inviting,
mean you eat it.
everybody in the
Wetmore.
valley or
Really Wetmore.
just Wetmore?
It's Wetmore.
So you are being snobs.
Well, it's supposed to be, because, you know, we have national night out and stuff that, you know.
It's up there.
No, I get it,
We try to do
kidding.
that down there too, just to get everybody.
That's a good thing.
I just think it would be nice if, because we have a lot of new people in the community, and we're trying desperately to get into this, and they don't know you guys, except Kevin, because they're brand new here, so they haven't been to anything. I just thought it would be nice to get the smiling faces down here.
Okay,
I do have one other thing real quick.
go ahead.
Do we need to still schedule an executive session with the sheriff?
Didn't ask for it.
Well,
If you want to,
I think we should.
I can bring it to speed.
30th,
I know nothing.
well, I would request that we do that.
On the 30th?
30th.
Okay. Good place.
Number?
Yeah. 2 weeks.
Here or no?
It'll be resolved one way or the other by then.
Oh, well, to be honest with you, I don't have a problem, well,
Can't.
I say we could just do it today. I don't think it'd take 10 minutes, will it?
Actually,
15 minutes at the most.
Oh, yeah, not even that.
we could do that.
I'm fine with
today.
doing that.
It's on here.
We'll have to be careful about where we have it and who's in the building, but we can go upstairs.
You go upstairs to the coffee room.
Okay.
There are a couple of rooms up
All
there.
right, you got time?
Can I take a coffee and a cookie up there?
Yeah.
I would move,
rooms up there.
I would move that we move into executive session for a legal matter with the sheriff's office, to be convened upstairs.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to move into an executive session upstairs for the sheriff's discussion.
advice
For personnel or legal advice.
It's
Or advisement.
legal advice.
We don't need to have it.
Don't need to have one.
Don't
We
need to have
don't
it
need to
recorded.
have a recording of it.
And I would request that the commissioners and Shannon Byerly be in attendance only.
Not the county attorney.
Oh, and maybe the county attorney, sorry. Sorry.
Must have been the tie.
We don't need a recorder.
No.
The plan was to.
Okay, it's been moved, second, to move into executive session as stated. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Hi,
Kevin?
Aye.
And aye.
and then we'll come back
Come back
down here
down here to
during the meeting.
Go adjourn.
Yeah.
I have a side note. About the big jackrabbit.
Yeah.
I just got a note from my grandson in Minnesota. He had a 2016 Ford,
Yeah.
and he hit a damn pheasant, costing $1,600.
Yeah. I went through, you know where the bridge is crooked down here on the road, the little twist in the bridge? Hit a jackrabbit going 60 miles an hour, jumped up through the fenders, the plastic shield in the front, into the radiator, and on his head down the other side. He was hanging like that. I drove all the way to Denver like that. $1,800. Did you kill the recording? Sorry. This won't take. Okay, this is Commissioner Bill Kanda. We have adjourned our executive session and are back in. The time is now, looks like 5 to 11, is that right? And on September the 15th, 2011. And then the executive session has now been concluded. Participants in the executive session were Commissioner Tom Flower, Commissioner Kevin Day, Commissioner Bill Kanda, Attorney Clint Smith, and Sheriff Shannon Byerly. All of them, right? So for the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Hearing none, our next...
Attorney statement.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not it, but, Clint, do you wanna make a statement?
For the record, County Attorney was present. The purpose of the executive session was for legal advice. We stayed on topic. There was no decision made during, no decision asked for, no decision made. It was strictly for legal advice. And it was conducted in accordance with all the, record open meeting laws.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Clint. The next agenda item is, adjourn the, I'll take a motion.
I would move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. You got it. Tom, Kevin?
Aye.
And aye. All right, see you all later. Thank you. This is great, finishing up by 11. It took us 2 hours plus an executive session. A new record. At least tie us.
Barb, what in the world are you doing?
Okay.
So 1:30.
So who's